You just tuned in to Up for Discussion.
Make sure you guys get the coffee, get settled in, and it's time for us.
What's up? We are here at Ultra Products for discussion this evening. This evening, we've got kind of a unique scenario. We've got multiple special guests this evening. Our primary special guest is Zack Oxford from Oxford Acres. But we've also got some boys that are going to help us out this evening. I figured they would come up with some good questions and might have some unique insights. Got some unique insights, Hank?
I don't know.
Yeah, it will.
I think so. Before it's all said and done, it's going to be interesting to say the least. Make sure you guys like, share, comment, all those things we appreciate. And they definitely help with the algorithm to make sure that people are watching. I know that probably got Hank's parents watching this evening and maybe even Zach's parents. You never know.
They may be.
Yeah. This evening, this podcast is sponsored by Ultra Products here in Fairfield, Illinois. Ultra Products is a full service pro shop for all of your archery needs. We've got Matthews, Bowtech, Darton. We carry PSE, Elite, you name it. We pretty much carry it. So we can provide you guys with everything that you need to make sure that you're equipped for hunting. And if you guys get a chance, it's better to be prepared than to wait too long. So if you guys get a chance, stop into Ultra Products here in Fairfield, Illinois. And if you need to call us, give us a call, 618-842-5796. We'll take care of all those needs. All right. So this is episode 56, and we're calling this one Oxford Acres Revisited. Last year, it's probably been about a year since we had you on.
It's been close to it. Yeah.
So I wanted to have you back on because there's a lot of things that I feel like not only with the election, but also with, the interest rates going through the roof and inflation going through the roof. And I'm sure that there are people that are intrigued by what all you've been doing. And so I wanted to revisit that, kind of re-talk about it. So for those who didn't watch the first one, just give us a touch on what Oxford Acres is.
Sure. So yeah, we are a regenerative farm, or that's what we say that we are.
What's that mean? Regenerative.
So our goal, what we're striving for is to give back to the earth essentially more than what we're taking. So like our chickens, for instance. So we do a lot of pasture poultry. Our goal this year, I think that previously, whenever we had talked, we were raising 200 to 300-ish broilers a year. Our goal this year is 1,000. So we are currently,
You've really stepped it
up a little bit. So we had a lot of interest in that. So we're currently on our first batch. They're going to be ready the first week of May. I think most of those are already pre-sold even. I think we still have a few left, but we'll see. We'll have a lot more throughout the year, but essentially, so, like we'll take those, for instance, we move them every day. We believe that the manure from them, that's something that's going to make our land more fertile. The more grass that we can grow. We also raise sheep and some dairy cattle and some beef steer. So the more grass that we can grow, the more sheep that we can raise on a per acre basis. So that's our goal. Like the regenerative side of this is to, put more back into the land than what we're taking. So we rotationally graze our animals. We rotationally graze our sheep. We rotationally graze our cattle. We just harvested. So last year, I think we talked about the sheep a little bit. We just harvested just about 3 weeks ago, our first lambs that they were born on the farm. They were harvested. So we kind of came full circle with that. We had baby lambs born on the farm, 10 months to a year later, we were processing them, which is just really, really cool. They were delicious. So we had only had lamb a few times, so we were really curious to see how these were going to do. One of the things in particular about these sheep is they're very parasite resistant, and that's why we chose this line of sheep we bought from a guy in Missouri. So he's like a veterinarian by trade.
What are you okay with telling what the line is?
So the farm was Sassafras Valley Ranch, and so the line is the breed is a St. Croix Katahdin cross. So this guy for many years. So they're hair sheep. So they're not wool sheep where you have to shear them every year or anything. So they just blow their coat every spring.
Really?
They shed all that. And then in the wintertime, they grow a thick coat. So for however many years, I think this guy, I mean, it's been like 15 plus years. He's never vaccinated his sheep. He's never given them a dewormer. They're born out on a pasture. He provides water, and that is it.
That is interesting.
So, and I think he provides some minerals. So that's exactly what we did with these. And I was real curious when we took them to the butcher. We had a lady that helped us process these. And when we did this, because we had never processed sheep before, when we did this, one of the tell signs of how healthy, I think animals in general are, is the livers. And so one of the individuals there that he's been butchering for many years, and his comment was, he said, these are some of the healthiest livers that I've ever seen, which was just really interesting. Having sheep that have never, it goes against the status quo of, whenever these sheep are typically born, they immediately, they deworm them, or they give them a dewormer, they give them a vaccination, they give them these shots. Ours have never had anything. They simply have had water and grass that we've provided.
I like the idea of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a major problem right now is we ingest so many chemicals.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, realistically, I'm probably drinking chemicals right now.
Potentially
from the coffee that,
it's in the water. I mean, it's literally everywhere. And I think that it's easy to go down this fear road.
And I don't want to do that.
Sure. Same here.
Because I don't think that's a benefit to us, but having wisdom and knowledge is. Mm-hmm. And recognizing that just because I have that knowledge, it doesn't have to operate in fear, but I can alter my decisions based on it.
Absolutely, you can. Yeah. Yes. So that's really been our approach to our homestead. We raise sheep, we raise chickens, we raise some egg layers. We don't sell a lot of eggs, just simply because we don't have a huge flock. We raise Idaho pasture pigs. So we just had a litter of those born in January. The night of that big ice storm, of all nights, she decided to have her litter of piglets. It was wild. So they're doing great. These are supposed to be, we've never raised this breed before, but they're supposed to be a cheaper pig to raise because they eat more grass and they don't root around as bad as your commercial pigs do, I guess. So they're more of a heritage style breed. So we bought a breeding
Now the
pair.
heritage are nice because they have a higher fat content as well, correct?
Some do. So like a lard pig, so like your Mangalistas, that style, they do have a lot more lard.
Yeah.
Now you can get like your red wattles, which they're like a longer pig, so they produce like a really good side of bacon, which we all love bacon. Your shorter, more compact pigs don't produce as much bacon. That more so lard, I guess, on those. So
I mean, life's pretty much about the bacon.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, there's very few people that don't like bacon.
I mean, you can pretty much take bacon and put it with any terrible food, and it becomes palatable.
You can. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're up to. Still making the elderberry syrups and the cough syrups and the healing salve. I mean, just all kinds of different things.
Tell me about elderberry. Where do you find that at?
So a lot of times it grows like along your roadsides. What I found about elderberry, which I did not know, I was informed by a friend of mine because I had a lot of questions whenever the first year I harvested a bunch because they were like literally right in our wood line, harvested a ton of them, making our elderberry syrup. Next year I come back and there's no elderberries. I'm like, what the heck is this? Well, I come to find out later. So elderberries are biennials, and I guess they only produce fruit every other year. So I guess this year we should have a good crop of them. I don't know that, but that's...
When do you harvest elderberries?
The fall.
Okay.
So it's kind of like it's a really small kind of shrubby tree, bush type tree-ish thing.
Hank's shaking his head. You've picked some elderberries, haven't you, Hank?
Too many.
I bet your mom's had you pick them for her before.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, yeah. She gives us all sorts of tinctures and
we're all about that life.
We love it, man. But honestly, the elderberry is very healthy, correct?
Incredibly healthy. So it's super high in antioxidants. It's phenomenal for your immune system. So we probably drink this stuff every single day, whether it's through a tincture, whether it's through like the actual syrup itself. it's not nearly as much of like a treatment. So like if you've got a cold or the flu or something like that, it's not necessarily going to, cure you of that.
Are the berries good for like pies?
I've never made a pie out of it.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
I don't know.
Elderberry pie sounds good.
Here's the funny thing. I'll tell a funny story about it. So, good buddy of mine at work, he wanted to buy a bottle. He's like, "Hey, Ox, I want to buy a bottle of this from you." So I actually traded him some duck meat for this stuff.
Huh.
I think it's a great trade.
Yeah.
So I love the bartering system. So he ends up texting me the next day. He's like, "Dude, this stuff's delicious." He said, "I had it all over my pancakes." He's like, "It's a little bit runny though." I was like, well, this is more of like a medicinal thing. It's not supposed to be for your pancakes and stuff. But I mean, you can put it on there. I mean, people make jams and jellies out of it. People make wine out of it. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can make from elderberry.
That's intriguing.
Yeah.
Huh. So you guys sell a lot of that then?
Our elderberry syrup, hands down, is the best thing that we sell. Like it sells like hotcakes.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
So yeah. So tell me right now, like what is going on with Oxford Acres in regards to, I know you've been doing a lot of social media and a lot of what's that look like for you guys?
Yeah. So we really wanted to grow our social media reach. So we started talking to some friends that have been kind of helping us through that. They have just a lot more business experience. So in December, this lady, she's like, "Hey, I want you to make a video every single day." And I'm like, "Okay, I can do that." So her and I came up with a list of ideas. I'm like, "This is going to be easy. We've got, 40 to 50 ideas written out right here. All I got to do is just pick one each day." It's really difficult to do a video every single day. And especially like, because the days are also so short. So you're trying to film when it's still light out. And I'm getting home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Sure. And
then 3 or 4 o'clock, and then I've got an hour of daylight left. So I got to take care of the animals, got to do all this, and then I got to film a video. So it got really difficult, especially towards the end of it. I think we did like 26 or 27 days out of the month was what we actually hit. But we saw probably the biggest growth in followers during that time.
Yeah.
And the other interesting part is, so like, and I didn't know about all these social media things that you can track, but before this, I felt like our videos, like I shouldn't say I felt like, I know our videos per video got more likes, or probably more clicks, likes, comments per video. But when we started pushing out a bunch of videos, we didn't get as many per video, like likes, clicks, comments per video, but our foot traffic on our page skyrocketed. So like the number of views that we would get out of an Instagram reel or a Facebook reel really, really went up. And I don't know how that works, but
yeah, the algorithms for all of it are intriguing to me.
They are.
I think it's interesting. So like the Up for Discussion page, for instance, their Facebook every week will give you a list of all the things that you need to do or need to achieve.
Yes.
And if you achieve those, the next week they push you up a little bit more.
Yeah.
My thing is I never achieve all those. Like I always feel like some of these are not productive for what, and in reality, they are productive because Facebook says they're productive.
Absolutely.
So,
and it's in charge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the owner. So if it's saying
scenario,
do this, you're probably going to get more. It's going to push you more if you do what it says.
Yeah. Guys, do you have any questions?
I think James got comments about social media.
Well, I was curious, like whenever you're doing like a video a day, like what was that, like long form content or like a short form video?
Great question. So we'll touch on long form here in a second.
Okay.
So all of this, there was no long form in December at all. All of this has been short form. So your 60 to 90-second reels, some YouTube shorts, just about everything that I did in December specifically was either Instagram or Facebook or linked between the two. So that's all that was. Yeah. But the long form part, we can maybe touch on this some more later, but kind of where we're going. And I think we even talked about it last time. We really want to kind of get into the educational space of some of this stuff, showing people hands-on. But what I'm realizing, it's a time issue.
Yeah, like it's difficult.
I've only got so many hours in the day. and I still want to spend time with my family. Like I've got 4 little girls. Like I want to spend time with them and my wife.
There's elements of all of this when it comes to social media that I feel like it's almost like a young man's game.
Yeah.
Like, or it's a very old,
attention.
or it's a very old man's game.
Yeah.
Because if you've got kids and you've got life to live, it's tough.
It is.
Like, we make a really conscientious effort to every week. We do this on Thursdays. But to really grow it, you need to do it daily. Like you need to put something out daily. And not only that, but you also need to post pictures daily, and you need to constantly be having a forethought to be like, we're going to talk about this in 2 days, and we're going to talk about this the following, like, and that's very difficult.
It is,
because you eventually feel like, am I just rehashing the same thing in a different way? And I feel like most of the stuff that I've seen you do, it, for me at this point, is still fresh and new.
Sure.
Like, I'm like, hey, that's good. That's, so
go ahead.
Sorry. I've heard too that it's like, I feel like it's also dependent on what platform you're doing it on.
I think that applies. Like, there are certain platforms that are way more beneficial to short form.
And like YouTube specifically, it's like a whole separate, because I've seen some stuff on it, and it's like a separate strategy for if you're doing short form on YouTube versus long form.
Yeah.
Short form, I've always heard you just want to pump out as many as possible.
Yeah.
Just get as many out there as you can. Whereas long form, I've heard do more like once a week if that's possible, and just be consistent. And if you do it once a week, that is the best way on YouTube to grow. Now,
I've got a buddy who I would say he probably does something that would fall under long form. Long form being what, 20 minutes and greater? Is that what it is? Or?
I would almost say any more. I mean, we live in this microwave society. I feel like it's probably more like 10 minutes or maybe eight minutes or more sometimes.
His would fall under long form.
Sure.
And he's done very well with it. Like right now, last time I checked, he had 650,000 followers.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
And he started his simply by doing videos on history.
You interviewed him here.
Yeah.
Yes.
And,
I saw that.
And I'm just telling you, he is fascinating.
Sure.
Like, he takes trips all the time on History Channel's dime at this point. He's got multiple people that, are kicking in for him to go on trips into Europe, and like, and he's always coming up with good topics. And I'm not even kidding. The way he got started was videoing himself with one camera, walking around and just talking up into the camera.
Yeah.
And being like, hey, today we're at such and such place, and we're going to walk around and I'm going to tell you about it.
Yeah.
Like, all those placards that you read.
Sure.
He'd be like, all right, so this placard says this, and it just really started exploding for him, because there are people in Europe that are like, they've never seen that place. They might never see it. And he was taking them to places here that they were fascinated with. And so then he'd go to Europe, and he was building an American audience for Europe.
Absolutely.
Like, so the different places, it was like he was bridging gaps because of that. So
you've got to find your niche, and you've got to find something that you can be, I feel like, that you can be good at and be original with. Or you've got to be a really good storyteller. So like someone like Justin Rhodes, who has a huge YouTube following. If you don't know who he is, he's just a homesteader. Like he simply just kind of started out telling his story of how him and his family got started on their homestead. He vlogged his daily life for a while, but then kind of the personal, everyday, like Casey Neistat style vlogging kind of went to the wayside.
Yeah.
But Justin, what he's done now is he's built such a connection from his audience to his family that you want to hear the story of his kids. Like, you want to see what they're doing. And now it's branched off from, not only is Justin, doing his thing, but, his daughter is doing things with horses and with rabbits.
Sure.
And his son is getting into doing like heavy equipment, and they're starting their own pages, and just really cool, just doing really just cool stuff. And it all comes back. He loves family, and that's what he's really focused on is the homestead focuses around family. And that's kind of been our heartbeat with this too. But he's just such a phenomenal storyteller. As he's talking, you're just so intrigued by what he's saying. And then so he'll tell a story in long format, and then he'll come in with all these shorts that just get you drawn into, okay, now I want to go back and watch this long form content
like
stuff.
clipping his long form stuff.
Or even take something that maybe he filmed in long format. It's like, I'm not going to put that in long format. I'm just going to give you a teaser. And you get intrigued, and you're like, well, so he's like, recently he posted some shorts on having just chickens really close to your house, because if your chickens are close to your house, you can simply just throw all your food scraps essentially like right off the porch into where they are. And he built his place beautifully. Like, it's not just this crappy looking, rundown homestead. Like, it looks visually appealing.
Yeah.
And so he has these really cool just chickens right next to his house. And he's like, these are my compost chickens. So he throws all this out. And then, every day he throws new wood chips in. He's like, the chickens get in there, they scratch around, they compost it down. And then every year he comes in there and he scrapes this, 18 to 24 inches of wood chips, food scraps, old milk, whatever it might be. He scrapes that out and he makes beautiful garden beds out of it. So it's just this full circle permaculture type setting. It's just really cool watching him.
Huh.
But he grew his audience by telling a story.
Yeah.
Just the Justin Rhodes story.
Well, I think that's what people are fascinated with.
Yeah.
Because for years, I would say media in general has pushed reality TV because reality TV sells.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is they were selling reality TV when it wasn't reality.
Fake reality.
Yes.
Yeah, it was staged.
And,
yes.
and what YouTube has done is it's allowed people like you to show your life, and you are reality. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, this is who we are. This is how we live, and this is how we're doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people are drawn to that. Like, they love reality, but they also want real.
They do.
Yeah.
How do you take care of your pigs daily? How do you take care of your chickens daily? Like, I posted a video today, just probably an hour and a half ago, of, me feeding my pigs an extra 4 gallons of milk. And I was like, have you guys ever seen how quickly pigs can drink milk? And if you never have, I think that pigs can give these professional chuggers a run for their money. It's crazy how fast they can drink milk. I was just like, I've seen this every day for, however long it's been, because we get so much milk right now. I was like, I'm going to post a video of this. People want to see just that daily life. Like, what are you doing today? Well, today I fed milk to the pigs. Click. Cool.
Yeah.
So
I think that's awesome.
Thanks.
There was some play. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So another thing is, I think what you were talking about with videos that kind of give insight into education. Let me say that. Because like the other day, I've been incubating eggs.
Nice.
And
chicken eggs?
Yeah.
Nice.
Like, I try and do it regularly. I would say at least every other month.
When the foxes get your chickens.
Pretty much. Well, for me, it's not foxes, it's German shepherds.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm trying to teach German shepherds that chickens are not food, but I'm not successful in that.
Yeah,
it's been a difficult task, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I don't know.
You don't think I'm gonna
I don't think
achieve it?
I think if I were killing chickens and I was the dog, I would have learned after the first time.
Yeah. Well, so
I don't have a lot of success with I have to put up I put my dog on a geofence.
Yeah.
So he can't get near him. So
well, I've done that, and yeah, it's just not been majorly successable. But that being said, I also just enjoy the process.
Sure.
So the other day, so it's a 21-day process for those who don't know. And 3 days from the end, you take them out of like these racks that rotate to make sure that, they have constant movement to where they don't stick to the sides of the shell or whatever. But I was 4 days from the end, and my incubator was fine, but the power source quit working.
Uh-oh.
And I did not have any other power source. So I was like scrambling through YouTube videos trying to find something to tell me what I needed to do.
Sure.
Ultimately, what I did is I reverted back to what they would have done in, the 60s or the 70s, and just put them under a heat lamp. And like what I turned them every 8 hours because I was literally right at the end of it. So I thought I'll be all right. I gave them a couple turns, and at this point, I'm just trusting the heat lamp to do its job.
Yeah.
So
so what do they do?
I don't know. We'll see.
Anytime.
I thought you said what did they do?
Oh, no. Yeah. When are they due?
Yeah, anytime.
Okay.
Yeah, they should start hatching. What is today? Thursday. They should start hatching Saturday.
Nice.
So,
nice. We hatched our first out just a few months ago.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
It's fun.
I've already hatched. I hatched. It's always a learning curve, it seems like, with me. I hatched 10 probably 2 months ago and got them to where I felt like they could handle the cold weather, and learned that I was incorrect. They could not handle the cold weather. And I don't want to ever act like it's a chicken, no big deal, because honestly, to me, it's 30 days that I dedicate basically.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
So I was pretty devastated, but I still have one out of that group.
Well, good.
And that one is a tough one. So yeah, that's Terminator chick. So
Terminator chicken.
So I also saw a video that you posted. Was it yesterday or was it today even, where you were milking the cow?
Yeah, so that was 2 days ago and yesterday. So I've posted 2 videos now on that.
Okay, so tell me what that video consisted of.
Sure. So this homeschool bill that's been going through Illinois. And I don't know, I'm not great on the whole legal process of bills passing and whatnot. So it passed. So the bill has passed.
I'm sure it in the state of Illinois, basically, if they put it forth, it's pretty much going to pass.
Yes.
Because Republicans can't get anything. They basically know we can't put forth anything because it will never pass.
Sure.
And Democrats, if they put it forth, they know it's going to pass. So
sure. Yeah. So, I've heard, so full disclosure, we don't homeschool our kids. My kids go to a private school. But I love homeschooling. I think it's phenomenal. I think that for some families, it works really, really well. And ultimately, we should be able to choose whether or not our kids are homeschooled or not. I think that is a right that we should have. And I don't believe that the national government or the state level government should be telling us otherwise. So I kind of went on this rant. So I was just like, man, I am going to film myself milking this cow. I'm just going to talk to the camera. I told that camera all kinds of things. I didn't post the whole video. My wife watched it, and my wife's just many times my voice of reason.
She's your filter.
Yes, very much.
I've got a wife that's a filter as well. So
we gotta have for her. Yes,
yeah.
She's wonderful. Yeah. So in that, I talked about my thoughts on that. I don't think that the government should be telling us how to educate our kids. I don't think that, if I want my kids to read a certain book, I think they should be allowed to do that. As far as for educational purposes, I don't think it should be mandated.
Can I play the devil's advocate for a minute?
Yeah.
Because my wife is a teacher, and she is of the mindset, I need to be careful there because I'm not sure that she would necessarily say that. But she does believe in making sure that there's at least some sort of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the word, but a guarantee that those kids are at least taken care of, within some sort of system. Now, I'm the other side of it. I'm like, the filter is the parent.
Sure.
That's my belief. My belief is the filter is not the school system. The filter is not the state. The filter is not the government. The filter is the parent.
So I have lots of thoughts.
So what happens when the parent fails would be my question.
So let's look statistically. So statistically, homeschoolers score 15 to 30% higher. This is a true fact. 15 to 30% higher on standardized tests. And across the board on SATs and ACTs, they score higher than public school system. It is a known fact. Like, you can Google that. Fact check me.
And they get into college at a higher rate.
They do.
Yeah.
So if we're going to say that we're going to hold the homeschoolers to this, we've got to make sure these kids are well taken care of, which I agree. Like, my entire job revolves around making sure kids are protected. And this is by no means an attack on teachers. I think that our educators at the school level are incredible people. Yeah, they are hardworking. They love the kid. They truly love the kids. Like, I would go to bat for any teacher. I live in North City in the NCOE school system. I'd go to bat for just about any single one of those men and women. They are incredible people. But the school system, not the NCOE school system, but the school system as a whole, is messed up.
It is.
And the kids they're not passing at rates like homeschoolers are. So when they're like, we're going to look at the homeschoolers and make sure they're educated, look in your own school.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my opinion.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I agree. But I also feel like almost to a degree, we should have some sort of testing that's required in
across
a
the
homeschool
board
setting. Because like all the testing at younger ages is all public school stuff, to my knowledge. Like, there's not a whole lot of necessary, because like what happens whenever you have a kid that's, and I understand that this is not the regular, but what happens whenever you get a kid that's in 4th, 5th grade and can't read, and they're a homeschooled kid?
Sure.
And then they're going to end up suffering because their parents aren't.
So it's an interesting thing where it comes to falling in the cracks, or falling through the cracks per se. But you still, what Zach is saying, you still have to look at the totals as a whole.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because in the public school system, there's kids that are falling through the cracks.
Yes.
Like,
and they're in high school
and at a higher rate.
Yes.
So, I mean, my frustration is there's not a school system in the United States that struggles more than the Chicago school system.
Sure.
The Chicago school system is an absolute tragedy. And not only is it a tragedy, but it's so much of a tragedy that they have an entirely separate educational, almost like a union. Like the Chicago Union is totally separate from the entire rest of the state because they are ran so poorly.
Yes.
And for them to step in and be like, you guys need to check yourselves whenever it's so poorly ran, that frustrates me.
Sure.
I would also say that I struggle with the government ever telling parents that
telling me anything
you need to do. Yes. Like, for one, I pay tax at a absolutely absurd rate. And for you to tell me that I should be raising my kid anyway, well, there's some things I'd like to tell you that I'm not going to tell you because I love Jesus.
Sure, absolutely.
So,
like, that's my thoughts.
Is the Board of Education, like that's from the government, is that still a thing? Because I heard talk of Trump's getting rid of the
Department of Education.
Department of Education.
So,
which means it will go back to the state, right?
That is the plan.
Okay.
I guarantee that's going to be fought in court.
Oh, it's going to be hard. That's the way that it should be, though. It shouldn't be in the power of the government. It should go to the state.
Here's the thing. All that
is
the Department of Education is nothing more than a slush fund for
it's a money laundering scheme.
Yeah, absolutely. It is.
And the thing is that they're arguing is that, well, what about these kids that are going to be out this certain money for families that are impoverished or, whatever it might be. And I'm going to mess up some of this because I've not read it in its entirety, but my understanding is that a lot of those, when they say they got rid of the Department of Education, when they say, well, what about the kids, these grants that these kids are going to get for X, Y, and Z? Or what about the food? Well, the food part's now being covered by the Department of Agriculture. There's another portion of this where it's the grants that are now being covered by the Department. Is it the Department of Treasury? The Treasury Department? I don't know. Something like that. But it's not that this this, it's not that these kids aren't going to be taken care of. It's just getting taken care of
from a different
place. So they can't launder money through this one, Department of Education.
Well, when the head of the Department of Education says, we really don't do anything.
Sure.
Because they have her saying that.
Yep.
And to me, they know that full well.
Sure.
Trump knows it full well. Elon knows it full well. And I think is it Jody
I don't
Bob
remember
Garner?
the name. Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure she knows it full well. It's a joke.
Yes.
It really is. It needs to go back to the states as it is.
Sure. I agree. So, I agree. I don't think that. Yeah. I don't think that. I think that the whole thing is this. We don't want you to look at what we're doing. Let's focus over here on this super small, because the amount of homeschoolers in the state of Illinois is so much less than all of the students in general in the public school system.
Sure.
So they're focusing on this one little minority and saying, everybody look over here. Well, okay, my thought goes to, it's the government. I don't trust you. So if your hand's pointing over here, what's your other hand doing? Like, what's going on over here?
It's like there's a small group of homeschoolers, and then there's an even smaller portion that's got problems.
Absolutely.
Whereas it's a huge portion of public schoolers and a big portion of problems with that too.
They made the argument that this is a big part of their argument was that this is focused around the sex abuse. Okay. That this is kids are going to be locked in homes with their abusers. Okay. And that there's no way for these kids to be able to report. They make it this thing where like, okay, now we're going to fight this. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I've been working sex crimes now for almost 4 years, and child abuse is very much a crime. It has been a crime. It's going to continue to be a crime.
So go ahead and clarify that, because the way you said that is a little strange.
So the state of Illinois is trying to make the argument that the reason that we need this homeschool bill is so that homeschool kids are being checked in on, so they're not being abused.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is clarify what you do, because the way you said that, you said I work sex crimes.
Sorry, I am a police officer. I am a detective. I've been in law enforcement now for around 7 years, and a large portion of this has been I work sex crimes. So, so we get lots of reports. Work in Evansville, Indiana. So I get lots of reports from the school system there. Sex crimes are very much a crime, and they're going to continue to be a crime. And there's many ways that kids can report. And it's that argument that they're trying to make they're trying to make the argument that they're doing this to protect kids from sex abuse, and that's not the case. Like
Sure.
So what's the bill exactly trying to do? Like, is it doing away with homeschooling, or is it?
No, I'm going to throw this out there real quick, just because we've got a pretty serious storm that's moved in, and should we lose service, I just want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. It's raining so hard in here that we can hear it through our headphones. So
sure can.
We've also got Aaron Costin posted. It's worth looking into the cost of management in Illinois schools and how it's risen in relation to teacher pay. We've basically seen a massive increase in the cost of education management. And I agree with that. You've seen the cost in the management, but not a related or a visible
Teacher
raise
pay.
in teacher pay.
Yeah.
So,
Goodness,
man, it's raining hard.
I'm hearing it in my headset now. So, what's this bill trying to exactly do?
So, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but essentially it wants homeschool parents to report to the state, or report, I think, to the local, like the local public school system, as I think what it is. They want them to report to the local public school system that their kid is registered with the school. I believe it's with the school, like the homeschool group is registered with the school. And it allows, there's something with, it allows them to check in on you at any point in time. And part of that came down to
I don't
so
like that.
Part of what Darren Bailey was making the comment on with this was that it gives them the ability to walk in your house unannounced and check in on you and your kids.
Yeah, that's not.
And
cool.
they're going to say, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
I was saying like having a test for younger kids to do that's required by the state. I think that could be beneficial because I think
that's definitely different than what they're
that's
pitching.
what I'm
That's
saying.
not what they're pitching at all. They're saying that if you don't register, you could go to jail. You can be fined. DCFS can get involved and start taking your kids.
See,
that's way
incredible.
That's more of what our government in this state pushes.
Yes.
Like they literally push regulation to the point to where they are daddy, essentially. Like they want to rule over you.
Yep.
Like they want to be able to come into your house at any point. They want to be able to see what you're doing at any point, regulate it. And to me, everything about that, I abhor.
So
I agree with you there.
So we started, me and my wife. So this is kind of that, the two-sided thing of, they're saying that we're doing this for the kids. We're looking out for the kids' best interest and all this kind of stuff. So it's trying to let something run around the track one time. But I'll say this. So me and my wife, we recently started looking into foster parenting or adoption. We just feel like that is we feel like that's something that God put on our hearts. So we've been looking into that. We were shut down by the foster care system.
It doesn't surprise me
because we did not vaccinate our kids and we weren't going to. It was something as simple as just the mere flu shot. If I am not going to get the flu shot, however many times a year that they tell me, they will not allow me to foster a kid, which is incredible. Just because I have kids that aren't considered fully vaccinated, again, they won't let me foster. And there's no loophole around that. But on the flip side,
that could change.
It could.
Hopefully.
It could.
We talked to this is where I was letting it run around the track one time. We talked to a lady who is at the head of I guess maybe this region, maybe, and with something. I don't know her exact title, whatever it is. She, within 2 minutes of her conversation with us, she had never met us before in her life. Within 2 minutes, she's immediately ragging on this whole transgender, the whole drag queen stuff. And she immediately, without, again, knowing anything about us, began attacking any kind of Trump supporter, talking about how she takes her kids to drag shows because those people she's never had to investigate as a DCFS worker, and immediately went into this, which, it is what it is, but the LGBTQIA plus, she immediately began to going down that path, almost attacking us when she had never met us in her life, telling us all these different things about that.
I'd say she was just looking for you to expose what you're thinking.
Oh, it was wild. I mean, me and Haley had to walk away. Yeah. I mean, this just with how brazen she was, just to come off and start telling us all this stuff, what she does with her kids. It was wild.
It's like she's trying to pick.
I want to know what because you can say, oh, I've never had to investigate transgender people for that and stuff. But what percentage of rape is male on male? Especially
I don't know, dude.
Child molest.
Here's my only thing. I want to make sure that we are within the bounds of factual stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm not looking to pick fights without facts.
Yeah.
That's
but we got shut down from the foster care system because of a vaccination issue. Then immediately she turns around and starts throwing all this in our face.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
I wasn't either.
I was thinking you were talking about sort of the bill they were talking about regulating stuff. That seems like a good way to me as an entry to pass another bill and then be like, oh, you are required to teach your children critical race theory or this and that.
So that was one of the points that this brought up was this passes, what's next?
Yeah.
I don't know. What is next?
So I've always taken, and here's the thing. A lot of people that watch this show know that a lot of what we do is hunting related or outdoor related. That's why I feel like having you on is a good thing, because this is still outdoor, related.
Sure.
And but to me, I struggle with the fact that a game warden at any point can come in your home.
What?
Like,
What?
I didn't know that.
at
didn't
any
either.
point, no,
No.
there's no warrant required for a game warden to come into your home.
I don't like
Interesting.
that.
Where the state police require a warrant.
So the game warden for what reason can he come in your home?
Well, it has to be justifiable.
So
that
he has to have
some sort
reasonable, articulable suspicion
that
a crime has occurred within his scope of investigation.
Yes.
But
Interesting.
I feel like that's hard.
Yeah.
Does he have to have proof that his
I'm sure he does.
okay?
Yeah. But a game warden at any point can be like, I need to come check your freezer. And to me, that's not cool.
Sure.
Like, that doesn't apply to the state police.
Good.
Yeah. But it does to game wardens.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's
that's why a game warden can literally come on your ground at any point and write you a ticket. They don't need to have permission to come on your ground. They can walk right onto your ground. I had one recently. I say recently, within the last 2 years, walked onto my ground. I was hunting in the middle of my North 40, and I will tell you flat out, I was breaking the law.
Mhm.
Like, what it was I got up in the stand. I wore orange to the stand, got up in the stand, took my orange off.
Mhm.
I still had the orange hanging in the bag next to me, but I knew nobody else is on my 40 acres. So I took my orange off.
Mhm.
Someone knew that it was a weird deal. Like, a local neighbor knew that I was hunting there. He was frustrated by it. So he called the game warden on me. The game warden comes onto my ground, asked me if I have permission to be there. And he ended up writing me a warning for not wearing my orange. But all of that is really, I'm just saying, at any point they can come on your ground.
Yeah.
I think like this is a little bit separate, but I feel like some of the safety laws and stuff, I feel like if you're on your own ground, I don't feel like all of that should necessarily be required. Because like that's not
and there's some things that in regards to Illinois DNR that they give you leniency in regards to your own ground.
Mhm.
But to speak as to what those are, I can't right offhand.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So if I ever need to go in someone's house, I've got to have a warrant. Unless you invite me in and say, hey, yeah, I'll talk to you. Like, I have to have a warrant to go in that house.
Yeah.
I can't, no matter how bad of a criminal you might be, I cannot just go. You're protected by the United States Constitution, which is wild that a game warden can just,
there's
for any
not,
reason.
So
there's
here's
not any reason that you can like go in without permission or a warrant. There's not.
There are ways that you can do that. I mean, there's a few different ways, but if it's just simply like, I need to go in that house, I don't have like,
but there's a system.
There's
you
a
have to
system
go through
to
the
it.
system.
Yes.
And the reason why I found that out is because I knew a state policeman who told me that if they need really quick to get in a house and need to go around, what's that?
Of the game warden do it? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if they need to get around a warrant system, they will call the game warden and try and figure out if there's anything that can be pinned on that person for anything outdoor related, DNR related.
So
And because of that, the game warden basically leads the charge and they get a follow behind him.
could
That's weird.
that apply?
And I
with
was
people
told that
that's-
by a state policeman.
Interesting.
So like, what's the rules on like for like, because there are exceptions to the warrant, right?
There are.
Like if
yeah.
you've seen like there's like some sort of probable cause deal, right?
If I see narcotics in plain view through a window, we can go in that house.
Okay.
If someone's being abused inside that home and we
So,
hear
like,
screams,
what's the
yes.
legality on like they have the game, like even if there's not like stuff that they can get them for that the game warden could deal with, what's the legality on game warden goes in there and can be like, hey, there's drugs in there, and then you can go in there because, like, not that we're gonna have that problem. I'm just saying, like, what's that?
So you're saying, like, if the game warden goes in to check the deer meat in your freezer and
Like
he sees
I'm just checking for
drugs,
deer meat, and he's like checking under your couch cushions and stuff.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, no, you've got to be able to articulate like where you're looking. So
Sure.
like, you don't hide deer meat underneath a couch cushion.
And here's the deal. I'm sure that the chances of that being abused are probably slim because they're not doing it unless they've got a pretty good indicator that you're already doing something.
I would
criminal.
hope the judges would shut that down though if that started getting abused. I'd hope so.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I know that it's at least been used.
That's
you know?
wild,
Yeah.
man. Okay.
So
Interesting.
all that being said, I'm very thankful for the DNR and for the state police,
Yeah.
but I don't like overreach.
I feel
Sure.
like we're almost like as citizens, we're a little bit too soft on some things. Because like up in Chicago, let's say you said they were passing this homeschool bill. Like, who's gonna stand up and do something about it?
Well, there's
Like, I
nobody
feel
who
like-
can.
Well, I mean, I feel like no single person could, but I feel like if everybody is kind of getting fed up and saying that's enough, I feel like there's some things that we could do about it.
That's where it's important to play a role in politics. Like I think the whole argument of Christians stay out of politics is absolute foolishness.
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, I think that's what not just the left has pushed into the Christian arena, but I also feel like that's what the enemy pushes
Sure,
into.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like he wants to crush the voice of the Christian.
Mhm.
And if he can do that by saying you really shouldn't have a role here,
Mhm.
that is a perfect way. And I think there's so many Christians who fall right in with that. Like, yeah, we shouldn't. Like, it's overreach for us to say anything, or
Mhm.
it's outside of our realm, or and to me, that's exactly what you should be doing. I had a preacher one time that told me, because I was like, man, there's this world is pretty dark. I'm not sure that it's a place I would want to raise kids.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's exactly why you should have kids.
Absolutely.
He's like, no one is going to provide light to this world except the Christians who are willing to shine the light of Jesus.
Yep.
And the best way you can do that and to make sure that they're going out is to provide the world with more of you.
Yes.
Like
So
more
I've-
kids.
Like, I
So-
agree with you on that. My question is, how do you argue that from a non-Christian aspect? That Christians, that like the church should
I'm
be
not
heavily
arguing
involved in
anything
government.
from a non-Christian aspect.
Well, I understand that because you're not a non-Christian, but I'm saying, like, how do you, like, what's the justification? Like, why should the church be there if you're not?
I'm just saying, I think the church should have a major role
I think it should too, but I'm saying, like, how do you justify that to somebody that's not,
to someone who's a
Christian.
Christian.
to somebody who's not a Christian? How do you?
Well, my argument would be, why do I need to justify it?
Because if you're ruling over people who aren't Christians, that's what I'm like, not necessarily ruling over, but like if you're in the government, like, we don't, like-
my intention is not to rule over anyone.
I don't. I
Like-
missaid that. I shouldn't
Well,
have said it that
what-
specific way.
But listen, what I'm saying is, I think it's important for us to play a role in the process. Like, I'm not looking to put my thumb on anybody.
Yep.
In fact, I'm looking for the government to do this,
Yes.
because there's no, like, if God himself is doing this, why should the government do that?
Mhm.
Like, God gave you free will, and God said you have the choice. Choose who you will serve.
I feel like you'd almost have to like redo the way that it works a little bit though. Because like you could make, like, people could, like, and I agree with you here, but I think that people could also make the argument of, like, yeah, you want to like keep them from pushing stuff on you, but to do that you have to be in a position where you can also push stuff on other people. Like,
So-
it's just hard to.
So here's the thing. There's a massive difference in ruling like a Christian and like doing it with Christian values and trying to push what you believe on others. Like, to me, don't murder, love your neighbor. Those
Like
are all
everything's
but those are principles that are overarching. Just because I believe those things don't make me like inherently trying to push my faith on someone.
Sure.
well, I'm saying like let's say oh my goodness, you're
No,
making this difficult. for me.
I'm not meaning to.
Let's
I think
say
this
I'm
is a
an-
good
Let's
discussion,
say
but
I'm an atheist, and I'm saying, like, in order to keep people from pushing stuff on you, you have to be in a position of power. Almost is what you're saying. Like, because you're saying if you're
what
not
I'm
in a
saying
position of power,
is-
I
you
think a
can't really
position
do
of
that.
leadership
over
over a position of power.
Well, that's what I'm.
I
Even
think
a
there's a
position of
difference
leadership,
between.
I feel like it's.
I think there's a difference between being in a position of power and being a true leader. So I think that even most atheists agree with most Christian values.
Yeah.
Like most people have the moral compass to say, you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't kill,
absolutely.
you should love the person next to you as you love
Mm-hmm.
yourself. I think that most of them do kind of follow that moral compass, even if they don't believe in a God.
Yeah.
You know,
I think the fact that that's the case, yeah, I agree 100% with that. Like, a moral compass is really, an atheist would say, well, I don't believe God instilled that. And we would say he did instill that.
Sure.
That's the
Yes.
difference.
yes.
Well, okay.
Hank, you got something you want to say?
No.
Your dad says I need to tag you in.
Or you need to tag him in as well. That's
Well,
interesting.
I mean, there's one thing, like the reason that one of the reasons that I think the government still has your thumb on you is because one of them is they really don't care.
Yeah.
And you pay them, they get money. And so when they keep getting money, why would you stop?
Yeah.
Like,
I agree. I here's the thing. When COVID hit, personally, I saw that the government does not have my best interest at heart.
Yep.
And for me, that's when what I saw you doing, like, I was more on board with that than I had ever been before.
Sure.
Like, I'm not a prepper. I'm not somebody who my wife might argue that. But I was of the mindset, I need to make sure that my family is taken care of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, because my responsibility is not to government. My responsibility, based on scripture, my responsibility is to my neighbor, to God, and to my local circle or my family circle. And because of that, I became more aware of the fact that government does not feel about you or me or you the same way that I feel about you guys.
Sure.
Like, and because of that, there's so many things that drastically changed in my mind and my worldview.
I just feel like I agree. Like, okay. I think when push comes to shove, it's just we have too much government, basically.
You got it.
Yes.
Because that's what I was trying to convey is that I agree that the church should play a bigger role in the government, but I think that it's hard with our current system that we have in place to.
So here's the thing. The church should play a larger role in government. However, there's so many things that government does that is the church's role. Like, social programs are not for the government to do.
Yeah.
The Bible clearly stated that we're supposed to take care of orphans and widows and make sure that the poor are taken care of. Those are our jobs. And what we've done is we've neglected our job. And because of it, the government has stepped in and said, we'll take care of that. And they've done that in education as well. Like, the small single room schoolhouses, the video that we were talking about prior, that is a great way to educate your kid.
Yes.
And the government stepped in and said, you know what? I see an opportunity here for us. And so the government stepped in and said, we'll take care of educating your kid. Now, if you look at, I mean, I don't want to get too deep into conspiracy or any of that stuff.
Sure.
We all know that we've never been on the moon, but
There's a movie about
But-
that, actually.
Just saying stuff.
but
now.
all that being said,
Tinfoil hat.
yeah, that's right. So the government, if you look at any of the Marxist writings or any of those, they quickly tell you that in order to pull people into your theology or your ideology, the quickest way is to make sure that you do it through the children.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that that has been done by the Department of Education.
Sure.
And really, at the heart of it, that has nothing to do with Oxford Acres.
Correct. I think
but
that
it could potentially.
I think you made a good point. Hank brought something up a second ago that made me think of this. So I think that we kind of talked about the government having their thumb on people,
Sure.
and the government stepped in and said, like, hey, we're going to do this for you. Do you think that it was the government stepping in to say, here, we're going to do this for you? Or do you think it was us saying, here, government, do this for me?
The second one, yeah.
I think we've given them the power to do that.
Well, that's
I
what
think
I'm
in
saying.
a lot of
like, I
cases.
feel like almost to a degree, like it's at one point we as the church had to have not been doing our job the way that we should, like you said. Because if we were taking care of the homeless and the orphans, they wouldn't have to put that in place to do it.
Sure.
And I don't necessarily know.
You're preaching.
I don't necessarily know that they would have, like, obviously there would have been some people in power that would have wanted to take over that. But I would say that if we were doing it, it wouldn't have been, I feel like at one point people would have been like, that's already being handled. We don't need more government taking over that. Like, I don't know that it would have happened if we hadn't failed at some point.
That's exactly right. I mean, if we were
Because-
doing it the way that it was supposed to be done, the government would have no role to step into.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, because from a Christian perspective, also, it's like if we're not doing our job, that doesn't necessarily mean that we need more government, because you are going to like pay for it or not pay for it based off that later on. But from a non-Christian perspective, it's like, well, if nobody's taking care of them, nobody's taking care of them. And it's not.
I guess my thing is, name an area where the government took over that they've done extremely well. That's facetious. You're not going to find one.
I'm thinking.
There's not an example of where the government has taken over and they have excelled. Like, when the government takes over anything, it usually is an opportunity for deficit. And you're like, man, what did I walk into?
I feel like it's been like a peak almost.
Yeah.
Like originally, whenever the government started, they had what they had, and then they took it up, and now it's going
And
back
then
down.
it crashed and burned.
Because like I was gonna say, army and military and like
That's where
war
my mind
stuff,
went.
It went up, but then now it's back down though. Like
Sure,
it's worse than
sure.
it was to start with. Now
I
Like-
think that we gave the government a lot of power to make decisions because we became complacent and we're just like, maybe it's easier if just someone else handles this
it's
right
all
now.
We got
convenience.
lazy.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got lazy.
So
the
do you
church
feel
got
like,
lazy.
let me ask you this. So for Oxford
Just saying that.
Acres, do you
Mhm.
feel like that's something that drove you into doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I
Just
would
leave it
say
alone,
that I would say yes.
What was the driving factor for you to be like, I want to live in a sustainable lifestyle?
I wanted to take care of my family. I wanted, because there was a lot of unknowns around that COVID time.
Sure.
Didn't know. I mean, it was the point where we I was in the military at the time. Military was telling me I had to get vaccinated. And I'm like, not going to happen. And they're like, well, we're going to dishonorably discharge you, which then affects my civilian job. And I mean, this went up to a full bird. Me and a full bird colonel are having a conversation, and there's three. So this is really interesting. So funny, interesting Army story. So I remember when this all kind of came about, they're saying, you guys are going to get the jab. And we're like, nah. And
Was there a group of you guys?
this is where I'm going with that. So as a company. So, well, no, this was not a company. This was battalion level, I believe. So there is a few hundred people, in this building. And they said, everyone that's not getting this, that's like, nope, not going to happen. We want you to go to this room over here. And there was like this room, maybe the size of in here is maybe, 15 by 20 foot, like it was like an office space. And they essentially were telling it, like, put us in there. And it was shoulder to shoulder room only.
Yeah.
And there wasn't enough room for more people to fit in. So they took us to an auditorium. And I mean, there was 200 of us. And when I think they thought there was going to be 10 to 15, there was like 200 plus soldiers in this room saying, not going to happen. And this full bird colonel, I'll never forget his face, because it was interesting to watch. So he walks through this door thinking he's going to go into this room of 15, 20, 30 soldiers, and he's going to, give them an order, because at that point you get an order from the full bird saying you're going to do this. And then if you don't, there can be repercussions. And he walked in. I remember this to do right now.
Sure.
And so so that's kind of where we landed with a lot of this stuff. That led into, okay, if I have 25 sheep sitting out in my field, that's quite a large amount of red meat that we have for food.
Yeah.
That
I
are
want
just
to
eating
jump in
grass.
here just real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, that we lost you for a second. We are back. What we were talking about was Zach was telling his experience in regards to, just ignore that. Somebody, I'm sure, is calling to let us know that we lost connection for a minute. But we are back. I don't know if that was pertaining to saying the wrong things, or I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
But I know that we are back, and because of that, thank you guys for sticking with us. We appreciate it. So basically, you were in a scenario where you had to make that choice. You were standing in front of the general and
Colonel,
and there were a much larger group
there was
that were
so
saying,
many more than what he thought.
We're not willing to do what you're asking us to do. So, I think there's so many scenarios there that I look at and I'm like, that just ensures or enshrines the fact that the government does not care about you and I.
No, it doesn't.
Like,
We're a number.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
They care about bottom lines. And I really want to feel different about that than what I do. Like, I want to feel like my government has my best interest at heart. And I guess my question is there a scenario where that can happen?
Where they have your best interest in mind?
Is there,
oh, man.
Is there a scenario where government is small and at the same time recognizes that the people are the driving factor?
I think that it's got to be a small government, because right. I mean, it's about the money. I think that in a role where all politicians serve one that are elected by the people, not having these bureaucrats that, have their fingers in 12 different pots. I think that whenever you remove those, I think that whenever you eliminate these incredible salaries that some of them have.
So here's one thing that I think is fascinating. And there's a lot of people who would disagree with what I'm going to say. But to me, it holds validity. We've got a president who's a billionaire. We've got Elon Musk, who's a billionaire. And the argument is that why should billionaires tell us poor people, essentially, us middle class people, what we can have and what we can't have? But I would say that there's a pretty strong argument that Donald Trump and Elon Musk have made enough money in their life that they're not looking at the government thinking, you're
How
going
can
to
I
provide
gain
me
from
with
this?
more wealth.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's it at all.
No,
Because I feel like, sorry,
that's all right.
I feel like almost if you take the money out of it, the majority of the people that you're going to have in the government are people who are just there. Like I'm not saying that you shouldn't pay government officials, but like I feel like if it wasn't so absurd, like they're getting paid so much money, I feel like you would have more people who are in it for the good of society. But then you have the problem of
here's the thing. It's not the issue of what they pay. It's the issue of the power that they have. Because what they've granted so many of them is the power to vote on something that you preemptively know, if I put money here, I will ultimately make money because of the knowledge I have.
Sure.
And because that they've allowed that to happen, you've got somebody like Nancy Pelosi who has made millions and millions of dollars off of her knowledge of what's going to be voted for or against.
Sure.
And that's where their money comes from. Their money doesn't come from their salaries, because the average salary for being a congressman is like $200,000. Like if you're getting $200,000 to be a congressman and you're a congressman for 4 years, essentially you've made $800,000, and on the back end you're a millionaire.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Yep.
It should not have happened. How did it happen? And whenever the government ought to look at that and say, how do we fix that? But they don't. Instead, they're like, how do we continue that?
Sure.
So where does that come from then?
Part of it.
Because that's what I was thinking. They just get paid that much, which would not be good.
No, they don't get paid that much, but they know what's going to be voted on or against.
And they get paid based on what they vote
so
for?
What they do is they put money into stocks. If they know, hey, there's going to be a giant solar initiative, let's dump money into solar, so that if we made $800,000 and we dump $600,000 into the solar, farm that's going to happen,
and we can 10x our money.
Yeah. Now we've got 6 million that we're working with.
I got you.
Hey, wait, now we know that there's going to be this giant road project. Let's work with this company over here and become an investor in this construction
How do you
company.
fix that then?
Well, how you fix it is you try and make sure that there's safeguards to where they can't do that.
Don't let them invest in
You
stocks
cannot
or what?
invest in the things that you vote on.
Gotcha.
And that's something that Donald Trump is trying to do. So
I think that the heartbeat of what Trump, and it's messed up on both sides of the aisle on this, but I think the heartbeat of people like Trump and Elon is he does want to take power away from the government and give it back to the people. I think that's what he's pushing for, but he's getting pushback from both sides of the aisle. It's not a Republican Democrat thing, because there's so many Republicans also that they're just in it for the power trip as well.
Yeah. I saw a deal the other day where Elon was speaking about the corruption that he's finding. And he's like, don't think that I'm finding only Democrat corruption.
Absolutely.
He's not. He's like, no, I will say that it is a larger majority Democrat, but he's like, we're finding all sorts of Republicans that have been like, yeah, I'll be on the take. So yeah, I sure don't want this to simply be a political thing. Like, that's not what, that's not the direction that I was looking to go at all. But I do believe that what you're promoting in what you're doing is all the more driven people towards that because of the government and what they're doing.
Yes. So like, we kind of talked outside of here a little bit about, what would it look like for schools to have a farm associated with it? What would it look like for these schools if not only are they teaching, what if the motivation went away from, let's get you into college to let's teach life skills? Like, what if a kid can walk out? I mean, I don't know anyone right now that's walking out of school knowing how to do their taxes.
But here's the thing. All the things that you just said were initially part of it.
What do you mean?
Well, if you look at how school was structured in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
So initially there was home ec.
Oh, absolutely.
Where they taught sewing and they taught
how to bake a loaf of bread.
And, yeah,
absolutely.
And they had FFA where kids were going out and don't get me wrong, those still exist to a level, but they've never existed
focus.
Yes, they are not nearly the focus that they were.
I wonder. I'm curious if that's the motivation of something like this bill, in order to get, if they know that the homeschool motive isn't to get to college, isn't to be part of the system and be an employee for the rest of your life. I'd be curious if that's what they that's a threat to them. That's a threat to the way of the American life.
Here's the thing that's a threat to them: discussion.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, the government does not like discussion.
Mm-mm.
Like, it's one of the major fights that's happening right now is the fight for free speech. Because whenever we talk and we discuss these things, there's something that happens about where you might disagree with me. Let's talk about why you disagree with me and let's figure that out.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if I can squelch your voice, then my voice becomes the overwhelming voice that everybody else around me hears. And that's where I think we're at in regards to government.
Look,
I think that they want to be the voice.
They're cutting out our camera 3 even. They're taking it offline.
I think that that's where we're at right now. So, and I think that that's something that I think it's important for local. I don't know. I just appreciate the rural communities coming together.
Yeah.
And working towards goals like that.
Yes.
Like, I love public or private schools starting up because you get to see something that's happening. And all that being said, my wife's a public school teacher, so I don't want anybody to think I'm against the public school system, but I am against sometimes what they stand for.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I don't think we see that sometimes at the rural level. But I'm telling you that there's certain things that they push that I'm not on board with.
Absolutely.
So
I agree.
And I think that's why it's so important for us to have a mindset of taking care of those that we're responsible for and to make sure that, like, I just love the idea of sustainability within a lifestyle.
Yeah. I saw a friend of mine on social media, on Facebook, made a comment, and this was in regards to, I guess, a policy Trump had pushed or that someone had pushed. And it was about, the argument was that if this, whatever it is, goes away, that it's going to start impacting the elderly and their way of life, and that they're not going to be taken care of. They can't get they won't be able to get food. Maybe it was around the food stamps or something, whatever it might have been. And this lady commented on this post, and she made the comment, and she was saying it very sarcastically, as in an attack on Christians, but made the comment, and she was 100% right about, well, is the church going to come back and pick up all the slack? And that, I read that and I'm like, we should be.
Yeah.
We should be the ones that, just like we've talked about, we should be the ones feeding them people, feeding the widows, taking care. I mean, I remember just last year, there was a lady in our church that her husband passed away and they burn wood. Well, this lady's not going to go burn. She's not going to be the one out chopping this wood.
Sure.
So there was a number of people that just all came together and brought her truckloads of wood.
See, that's something I'm on board with.
Absolutely.
I think, but I think where we fail as the church in that regard is we fail to recognize the need sometimes.
Yes.
And we're more than glad to help with the need, but we don't always recognize it.
Why do you think we don't recognize it? Or how can we recognize it better? I don't have necessarily an answer off the top of my head.
I think, for one, I think we get very building focused.
Mm-hmm.
I think churches have a tendency to become that at times.
Yeah.
Very focused on what we do in-house, what we do to grow, what we do, and we lose aspects of basically the congregation and focusing on that. Like, because there's elements of fellowship and taking care of our neighbors that are highly important, but as soon as it becomes about buildings and making sure that people are in seats and stuff like that, I think there's elements you lose.
Yeah.
Well, especially like the people that are already in the church, you know, it's like they already have the love of Jesus and stuff. They already, like, if we're not sharing it with people outside of the church, then we're never spreading the love of Jesus and the gospel.
Yeah, that is the
way.
gospel. Yeah. So that's my take on it.
So yeah, so like, I mean, my thought goes to, like, you know, small groups. Like, what would it look like for small groups if it was, you know, on Thursday night, your men's group, you know, chopped wood for the lady, for that. I'll just use her as an example. Or, you know, the women's group, what if it was, hey, there's these 4 families and, you know, or there's this family over here, their husband just died. You know, they've got 3 little kids. Okay, we're going to come together and we're going to make freezer meals and we're going to take them to them, you know, and it's going to take care of them for the next however many weeks.
I think a part of it too is to make sure that that's done across the board at churches.
Yeah.
You've got to have something, a group that facilitates well. And that's tricky because men are great at doing, women are great at organizing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you've got to have both.
Yeah.
Like, you really do. Like, so
I feel like to a degree also we can sort of like almost mimic doing what we're needing to do while not doing it at the same time, while staying inside the walls like you're talking about, like being like, hey, the help's here, come get it. Whereas there's a difference between doing that and then going out and.
So basically we're trumpets, but we're not actually effective. We're good at voicing it, but we don't always do it.
Well, it's not even that. It's like
you just perform at the same place over and over and over again.
Like you're like, hey, it's here, come get it.
That's a unique phrase right there, Hank. To say perform.
I don't know.
I wonder sometimes if we're not performers.
Yeah, because you're never going to.
I think we are.
I've
been a performer before.
Performers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way that he put that, I thought was really good. Like perform at the same place over and over again. Because think about it from that aspect. Like if you're a band and you're performing at the same venue over and over and over again, you're never going to grow an audience. Your people are going to say the same and you're never going to reach more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends how good you are too.
Word of mouth, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
that's going to be drastically slower still.
Let me ask you this, Zach. Is there anything that you'd want to tell people or get across to kind of slow or to move this, usher this out? Is there anything that you'd want to let people know?
You know, I talk to a lot of people about just, you know, what we do. And I mean, I even had some friends over last week and he's like, hey, man, you know, would you come over and show me how to do this? And I'm more than happy to do that. But I think with so many people, it's my comment would be is just start. If it's chickens, if it's this year, we're going to grow a 10 by 10 garden bed. Start somewhere. Like you're going to mess up something. You're going to, if it's, you know, you've been in the chicken business for a little while and you've got your 12 hens, like, okay, you want to take it to the next level. What's it look like for you to get a pig? You know,
here's what I struggle with. And I don't know if you struggle with this or not, but I go for broke in everything I do.
Me too.
And usually that means I end up broke.
Well, I'm that
Like-
same way pretty much.
So like, for instance, like it's not good enough for me to have a little garden.
You got to have the entire thing.
I've got like a quarter acre
yes.
of a garden. And my wife's like, I don't even like doing this.
Yeah.
Like I'm pulling weeds nonstop.
Yep.
And Aaron and Tabitha are giving us a hard time because we've got weeds everywhere.
Yep.
And, you know, it looks ridiculous, but, and
I think
that's my
start small.
struggle.
So yeah, so I think that's just part of, recognizing who you are. Start small. For some people, it's going to be an in town. I mean, I think I told the story last time. Like I ended up raising like 50 chickens, 50 meat birds on less than a 10,000 square foot, backyard in the middle of Mount Vernon, Indiana, where you're not allowed to have one chicken. So I had this rogue set of chickens, and I'm like, I'm going to do this for my family. And we planted a garden out there. We had one side of our yard that was like a 15 by 20 foot, tilled up area where we planted a bunch of vegetables, and then the other side was chickens. So we started out that way.
Oh man, my wife's chiming in.
If anything, just start doing something. Take that first step. If it's the chickens, it's the chickens. If it's the garden, it's the garden. If you want to start with a pig, get a pig. Like just start somewhere in that journey of, I don't ever want to preach that my goal is self-sustainability, because that's not it. My mindset is community sustainability. But find out who your neighbor is and know them well.
Yeah.
Like my neighbor has skills that I do not have. And if something catastrophic truly did happen, you're going to rely on the people that are within walking distance of your house.
I can tell you, nothing has helped Cassie and I better than being around Aaron and Tabitha in that regard.
Sure.
Because Aaron is the type, he's like, if there's something that we can do, I want to make sure that we're doing it. So he's doing bees, and he's doing like, and he's of the mindset that he's always open to a new hobby.
Yeah.
And sometimes those hobbies don't last, but because of it, it's definitely pushed me outside of my comfort zone at times. We've done maple syrup, and he's helped me out massively this year on maple syrup. He's helped me out with honey and doing that.
Be a learner.
Yeah.
Like be inquisitive of things. Like Haley tells me that all the time. Like one of my attributes is I'm interested in so many things. So many things catch my interest. So yeah, just start somewhere.
I would recommend a chicken, not a pig.
I don't It'd be a lot
pigs.
easier, wouldn't it?
I don't like pigs either, but I like chickens.
Did you guys raise pigs this year?
Yes. I mean,
was it
we
last
did
year?
last year. We did
Yeah.
last year.
I remember your mom telling about those. Man,
I did not like them at all. They were loud.
I get to where
But they taste delicious.
They were
Yes.
fantastic.
I get to where I don't have a lot of hobbies, because I'm kind of like you. I like to, like, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it right, and it ends up being costly, and I don't have enough money to start a bunch of hobbies. So I got to choose wisely.
I think there's a reason why. Was it FDR that said he wanted to put a chicken in every home? Was that who it was?
Yeah, I remember. I've seen that picture like float around on social media now.
Like, there's a reason why it's important for homes to have chickens.
Yes,
because there's nothing that produces better, in my opinion, cost for what they cost, than a chicken.
If you have a chicken for each member of your household, you can feed them solely off kitchen scraps.
Yeah.
And never buy food for them.
I mean, it's one of the only things that I saw a comedian the other day. He's talking about how he would explain a chicken to someone who had never heard of a chicken. And he's like, so there's this thing that will produce food for you every day. And he's like, oh, it comes in a pile? No, it comes in a package. And he was just explaining how a chicken, provides you with food. And it was hilarious.
That's funny.
Tastes delicious too.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
Do. They do.
Yeah.
It goes right along with the bacon.
And you can make it so many different ways that you never get tired of it too.
Just about.
Not far off.
Yep. All right. So I think we're about done. This has been episode 56, Oxford Acres Revisited. Zach, we appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, man. It is awesome every time that you come on. it definitely went a way that I wasn't expecting it to go. But I can say this, that's part of the platform that I appreciate.
Sure.
Because it kind of has its own natural flow to where it takes you where you don't always expect.
Sure.
So I appreciate Hank and James coming on.
Before we close, we should let Zach shout out his social medias that he's got. Tell people where
for
they
sure.
can find him
Yeah.
at.
Find me on Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Oxford Acres. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Make sure you check out his videos.
I'm looking it up.
They're great. So we appreciate you guys watching. This has been Up for Discussion, episode 56. Make sure you like, share, comment, and we appreciate you guys tuning in this week for Up for Discussion. We'll catch you guys next week when Lathan will be back. This is kind of the odd week where he's not here, but next week he will be back, and I'm sure it'll be interesting. Thank you guys again. We appreciate it. Have a good night. Bye.
See ya.